Hi everyone, we are back with another podcast and another special guest. Last week we had someone who spoke about plastic waste and recycling plastic waste. Today we have someone who is going to talk about electronic waste and everything about electronic waste. Welcome Garima.
Thank you so much, Sajid and Venkat. Thank you so much.
If you could give us a brief introduction to the recycle company and what all you do, that will be really helpful to our viewers and listeners.
Sure, definitely. So, hi everybody. Thank you for having us on the podcast today. So, I am Garima Jindal. I'm qualified as a chartered accountant, having worked with Kotak Bank, Citibank, and then 10 years I've spent into teaching, finance being the core subject, and economics is somewhere which I love. And realizing there was always a pulling towards environment side of it, and that's the reason why I entered into this space. Earlier I could only see कि ये problem है, but मैं उसके बारे में what can I do was a big question mark which I always had. So that's where when I was teaching at YA, which is 11 to 18 years entrepreneurship thing to children, where children design their own ideas, business ideas, I came across a friend, and then I realized probably I could start something which is a problem which I always felt, and somewhere I could contribute towards a better environment for the future generation, for us as well. So this is a very small introduction from my side, that the recycling company is where I got connected with Karan Thakkar, who is the founder of the recycling company, and he's also on the Niti Aayog board for drafting electronic waste policy and different things, because this is a newer area for all of us, to understand. Waste तो हमेशा से रहा है, but उसको problem की तरह solve कैसे करना है, that's where we are trying to do our bit maybe. Yeah, so that's a small introduction from our side, my side rather.
That's really beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Was it all these used calculators that you were seeing when studying CA or economics? And just
I think my question would be slightly different, since you are a CA and you like economics, so it's all about numbers. Can you tell us what's probably the scariest number that you've heard when it comes to electronic waste?
Okay, so this is something which I would put to you. What do you think could be the e-waste which India is generating? Just a number. It could be anything. What do you think? What could be the number?
I'm going to guess around 100,000 tons a year, maybe 100,000 tons, around there.
Okay. So it's around 5 million tons.
I was going to guess that.
Oh.
So that's 5 million ton for 2020 as per the report, which says 5 million ton. And ye to, I mean, and if I were to ask, how much do you think is being recycled? I mean, any thoughts around that?
I'm going to say less than 1%.
Yeah,
Okay,
I was going to say 5%.
Okay, so you all are very close. So in Maharashtra, it's around 1%, which is being recycled. In India,
Yeah.
it's about 5%, 5 to 12%, but largely that's informal sector which is doing. Formal sector say 5% ही हो रहा है, if I were to say. So that's the kind of statistics where we are, and it's continuously growing. The biggest challenge is that, मतलब ऐसा नहीं है कि on a regular basis we are seeing that as consumers we are consuming newer things, as companies, newer companies are entering into the market. Everybody is into I mean, we are a consumer market definitely. But at the side of it, if we see कि कहीं ना कुछ तो खत्म होने ही वाला है. So waste, if we could see as a resource, is very important, which currently people are not really seeing. मेरे घर से बाहर गया, then I don't care where it is going. So that's the biggest challenge probably. So yes, these are few statistics.
The scary thing is possibly going to be that if there was an old mobile phone that I don't use anymore because I got a new one and it's lying at home, that's different. But most of this ends up, let's say, in landfills, or comes back into the environment, finds their way back to us. And now the thing is that with ease of chips and cars having your microchips, and I mean there's almost everything that you can think of that is going to have some sort of electronic component in it. And where it ends up and how it comes back to us, finds its way through harmful chemicals, it's kind of scary.
What was your story behind starting Threco? Like, what was that one factor that made you think, hey, this is a really big problem and growing every day? How did you get into electronic waste management?
Okay, if I were to say India, we are really lucky that India as a country has been in the forefront towards drafting. Government has been in the forefront towards drafting these policies. So
Okay.
EPR is one thing where government has really put in their foot down, where it is extended producer responsibility. So as a electronic generator or as a company, it's my responsibility obviously to sell in the market, but at the same time recycle how much I'm selling as well. They have targets by the
Right.
CPCB. This is where government has played their important role. But for me, see, I am not the beginner of this because Karan is the person who has founded the recycling company. And if I
Yeah.
were to share his story, which is pretty interesting, and I'm sure he'll come also on board one day. So
Yeah.
he was with KPMG earlier, and he did a lot of audits with these mines and Sterlite, Vedanta, and all. So when he was actually auditing at the mines, it gave that inner calling to him कि भाई हम कितना earth से ले रहे हैं every time, we are just taking from the earth, we are mining every day, but where are we giving back somewhere? Why so much we are just being on the taking side of it and nothing on the giving side of it. So that is where was his calling, and he started in 2008 somewhere the Ecocentric as a company. Now in
Yeah.
2019, we are a more integrated facility where I fall into place, and we are actually going all out with this B2C model and B2B model, reaching out to corporates, to educational institutions, to people in general, and to societies. Everybody is using. So how
Hmm.
can we as company reach out to people कि भाई recycling एक बहुत important component है, जितना consume करना important है उतना ही recycle करना भी important है, because otherwise everything will land up in the landfill, और वो turn होके, as you rightly said, will all come into us only. And we have all seen
Correct.
that with COVID. Obviously, that
Yeah.
with COVID, things have automatically shown us a path. If we don't really care now, then when?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is the thing. That's the thought behind starting or joining a movement, which is like a e-waste revolution that I call at times.
Yeah. So, I mean, you have given us some stark numbers about what the e-waste problem, I mean, the amount of waste that we're generating and really how much of it we're recycling, and, the rest of it, how it ends up. But what's the story, let's say, if I'm an average consumer or if I'm, let's say, an organization, what happens once I get in touch with Threco? What is the entire process like? How do you guys actually, complete that entire loop?
Okay. Okay. So this is more on the technical side, but before that, I'll just share a story. Like in 2017, I used to just keep reading कि मेरे घर पे एक पुराना DSLR कैमरा है जो कभी यूज नहीं हो रहा. Then I was
Yeah.
like, ये मैं कहाँ डालूं? Because वो कभी काम नहीं आने वाला. Even this
Yeah.
company now, for that matter, BlackBerry, it shut down its operations completely. So all the
Correct.
BlackBerry phones, which was 26% market share, which they captured in the market, is no longer there. And I'm sure everybody, सभी के पास वो अरमानी सूट वाला फोन होगा, right? But वो कहाँ, अभी तो कुछ यूज ही नहीं है उसका. Finally, it has to be in the landfills. So this
Yeah.
is where the problem struck to me कि भाई मेरा जो e-waste है वही मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा कहाँ देना है. So that's the time when जब हम परचेज करने जाते थे शायद क्रोमा में, I realized कि वहाँ पे एक बिन रखा है, वहाँ चला जाएगा. But उसके बाद वो ट्रेल कहाँ है वो समझ नहीं आ रहा था. That is where the problem was कि एक पॉइंट पता चल गया कि यहाँ देना है, बट उसके बाद वहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है, क्या वो वापस सेल हो रहा है या किसी और को यूज आ रहा है, कुछ पता नहीं चल रहा था. So that is where, as a company, now I know the back end, how it works. So we have a plant at Khopoli, which is in Maharashtra, and it is authorized by the
Yeah.
Maharashtra Pollution Control Board. And in that
Okay.
plant, we have everything, the best of out of state facilities to recycle as much as
Hmm.
possible, definitely. So if I were to speak about tube lights किसी को electronic waste में समझ नहीं आती, but that's such a big problem, right? So
Yeah.
even metals are removed out of that tube light, और फिर वो जो glass है वो smelter के अंदर जाके that comes out, and then that is to be disposed to a TSDF facility.
Okay.
That is some example which I'm just sharing. So each e-waste has to be dealt with very specifically. It's not like plastic, because plastic is a similar standardized kind of thing. जबकि
Yeah.
e-waste is a more complicated procedure because उसमें आपका plastic भी होगा, glass भी होगा, metal
Yeah.
भी होंगे, so many things. So everything needs to be catered in a specific way, for which we have the processes at our plant.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm guessing the average cell phone, or like you said, tube lights probably have got, tungsten. They've got noble gases in them, which might pose a problem, let's say when they break and things like that. But like your average mobile's got lead, cadmium, arsenic, maybe pieces of, traces of mercury here and there, lithium, which is now possibly one of the booming metals that are going. How do you actually separate all of these? Do each have their own procedure, or do you need to, is it, how complicated is it from the chemistry or the science side?
Correct. So, if I were to speak about lithium-ion batteries now, which is going to be again a big problem, everybody is studying in this case now because India is not as developed as a market in other foreign countries, if you were to say, in the recycling space. So they are in the
Yeah.
niche space where we are all trying to have the best of setup, but पूरी तरीके से recycling भी एक challenge है, like in case of lithium-ion batteries, So in
Correct.
case of lithium batteries now, I had a discussion with somebody and they were saying if lithium-ion is not catered to now and a backend is not built, it could be the next plastic.
Agree. Agree.
से हमको plastic मिल रही है, the similar way it would be batteries, and batteries are more hazardous because the way harmful toxic chemicals are released out of it, that's not true for plastic as of now.
Yeah.
तो ये बहुत बड़ा चैलेंज होने वाला है, बट एट द सेम टाइम उसका बैक एंड बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग चाहिए. सो नाउ इफ आई वर टू स्पीक अबाउट lithium-ion batteries, if you were to see the entire recycling video, it's a very process oriented thing. Like उसके अंदर 2 processes होंगे, एक होगा hydrometallurgy, एक होगा it's called I think hydro and pyrometallurgy. तो एक heat से related होता है और एक water से related होता है. So these are very high intensive labor and capital intensive procedures, if I were to say, So उसके लिए पूरा एक mechanism चाहिए जो कि we are also trying to develop because everything needs to be step by step done. So this is something which we are also learning, lithium-ion battery, because it's new in the market currently. किस तरीके से उसको dispose करना है. But at the same time, if I were to speak about e-waste, is something which we are already equipped with different machinery and dismantle करना और उसके अंदर से PCBs अलग करना, plastic अलग से करना, फिर उसको granulate करके उसको flakes में convert करना और फिर वो वापस से production के लिए use करना. So that's the way it works.
Garima, so in one of the Olympics, I think 2 years back in Japan, they had recycled electronic waste and created medals out of those. Is it true? Like, how much of these precious metals do we recover out of electronics?
What Sajid's asking is, do you need investors or do you just use the gold that people throw away?
नहीं यार, आई मीन जो बाहर से दिखता है ना वो इतना आसान नहीं होता. वी फील कि भाई वो टोक्यो में जो मेडल्स बने थे और गोल्ड के बने थे और वो निकले, इट्स अ प्रोसीजर, सो आप ऐसा नहीं सोच सकते कि भाई 4 फोन मिले उसके अंदर से हमको बहुत सारा गोल्ड एंड मेटल मिल जाएगा. इट्स नॉट दैट. इट्स अ वेरी, आई मीन share with you even x-rays, they say that if you were to actually recycle x-rays you will get silver out of it.
Oh,
Wow.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so x-rays is one more area where I read, but the amount of volume that you need and machinery or uske against that economic sense needs to be made, right? How are you collect first of all, usko kaise recycle karoge aur kitna silver milega. So any industry, if I were to say, if it doesn't make economic sense, you might be like, अगर इसके लिए फंडिंग होगा या कोई स्पॉन्सर करने के लिए रेडी है, प्रोबेबली आई विल डू दैट. अदरवाइज जहां तक हो सकता है, I will do my best. At times that question is always there. So yes, this Tokyo metal thing was made out of recycled metals, but I think country to country also it depends. The kind of procedures that you have in each country, that really differs. So Japan as a country is very well equipped to have this, but that's a good beginning to have few things like, which even in India definitely it can be done because recovery ho rahi hai definitely towards e-waste.
Great. I know Threco is doing a lot of awareness campaigns and collection drives as well. What are some of the challenges you guys face, either be it say educating people or even during the execution phase?
At times I feel पूरा waste industry बहुत बड़ा challenge है. Because there is no immediate quid pro quo.
Right.
मतलब अगर आज मैं ये पेन बेच रही हूँ, आई हैव सम बेनिफिट इमीडिएटली, कि मैंने पेन बेचा, मुझे लिखने के काम है, मुझे यूटिलिटी, आई एम यूजिंग इट. बट एनवायरनमेंट आपको कुछ ऐसा नहीं मिल रहा ना, ये एयर मुझे प्योर मिलेगी और ये सिर्फ मेरे लिए ही होगा. Nobody cares. So that's the big challenge, where to make people aware कि भाई this is a problem, you are using it and you just cannot think about using it. Please थोड़ा सा disposal की तरफ ध्यान दे दो. तो वो रद्दी वाला आएगा या फिर वो डस्टबिन में फेंक दिया, मेरे घर से बाहर गया तो हो गया, दैट्स द बिगेस्ट चैलेंज टू चेंज, व्हिच आई एम सी it is changing, matlab definitely it is changing, and I see that very much with the senior citizens. See, there are a lot of senior citizens who are educated senior citizens who understand this topic well, and the youth of today, they understand this well. So जो बीच का category है ना, वो थोड़ा सा lost है because वो अपने consumerism में लगा हुआ है. So so this is two targets which I feel can be touched strongly. In fact, three, even women are some area which is challenging, but एक बार if you touch the right chord probably, then it will go through, because जो घर में segregation हो रहा है वो women द्वारा ही हो रहा है largely. So these are the main challenges to create awareness, to make people understand कि भाई आपका trail देखो कहाँ जा रहा है, वो जब आपने use किया आपको पता नहीं कि वो कैसे जा रहा है, और अगर पता भी करना चाहे ना तो वो easy availability नहीं है चीजों की, because that thing should be easily thing, no, like जैसे मैंने बोला मुझे DSLR अपना dispose करना है, but I didn't know where to go. Sure. So that is a big gap which I can see. People want to do the right thing also, but at times they don't know where to approach. So that is where the gap we are trying to build at times with our few services that we have started, like drives, like education institutions and multiple things.
A follow-up question to this, like, do you have to or do people ask, hey, how much money am I going to get if I give away my old laptop or things like that? Do you also have programs like those?
Of course, you know, so as India, in a market like India, it's always been कि मैंने जब भी अपना waste दिया है मुझे उसके लिए कुछ payment मिला है. So starting we did drives without paying anything. We were just collecting. So I've shared you earlier also, now also again I'll share. October 2nd, we did this drive where we collected 15 tons of e-waste on one side. And that was without payments. From January onwards, we launched this service which is known as the EVA service. The EVA service, where we realized that this is a itch which I am having as an individual. So obviously किसी और को भी हो रहा होगा, but वो क्या करे? So I am saying that my EVA service will come to your doorstep. We'll pick up your e-waste and we'll pay you basic sum. Rupees 10 per kg is what we are agreed to pay. Other than 4 things like batteries, tube lights, ये सब के लिए हम pay नहीं करे 4 चीजें. Other than that, we are ready to pay rupees 10 per kg. So this is a standardized thing that we have run across now, and slowly, gradually, this momentum is coming up because people are understanding कि भाई घर पे से आके मेरा laptop कोई लेके जाएगा. And one thing which I would like to mention at this juncture is data destruction is something that we ensure. कई बार होता है कि मेरे पास laptop है but I don't want to give because there is a lot of data. And I feel कि data leakage हो या कुछ problem हो, you know, data, how do I maintain the sanctity of that it's being destroyed? And as a recycling company, we ensure that this data is being destroyed completely, because that's where our license is at stake, and we understand what recycling is and what environment is all about. So data destruction is happening, EVA service is there, we'll come and pick it up, and we at the same time, yes, you're doing your bit for the environment as well. So these are few services that we have started, and people do ask for money, and that's where we have standardized this rupees 10 per kg. If you expect कि आपको 1500 चाहिए, 1400 चाहिए, ज़्यादा पैसा चाहिए, then please go in the informal market and then just sell it maybe.
Right. And is your factory capable of recycling every electronic part that comes as waste, or are there people who come and buy off parts from you guys also?
Not exactly. We are into recycling and we ensure that everything gets recycled largely. But at times, जो चीज हम वापस reuse कर सकते हैं या जो चीज किसी के काम आ सकती है, वही component वैसे का वैसा, then probably then we call what can be done, like PCBs probably, you know, and completely depends what kind of material it is. Then that can be done. Because if you see the entire flow of things, it's best कि अगर वो किसी के काम आए, अगर usable है तो that's the way, reuse, refurbish, and then probably recycle when it's dead.
Right. And what happens once it's recycled? Do you, you know, give this new recycled product back to companies to as raw material to producers, or you know, does it? What exactly do you do with the matter?
So e-waste, as I said, it's a complicated product by itself. So plastic जो निकलता है वो granules और pellets में convert होता है और वो pellets वापस से reuse होके आप उससे चीजें बनाते हो. As if I were to say Procter and Gamble uses 25% of recycled plastic. That's what they claim. Right?
Okay.
So these are the way companies are using those plastic metals. If I were to say, obviously metal के rates जिस ढंग से boom up हो गए अभी, as you would be knowing. So obviously when metals are there, you resell further so that those virgin metals you don't have to extract from the environment and you're reusing that metal in case of production of other things. So yes, that's definitely where the entire circular economy comes to a close.
See, for an electronic device like a mobile phone or a laptop, what is the typical process cycle? Like, how much time does it take from start to finish until everything is dismantled and every part is, reutilized? What are like these life cycles like?
So if I'm a company which is selling electronics, it would always be a very lesser span. I mean, मैं बोलूँगी कि ये शायद सिर्फ 5 साल चलेगा, right? But हम as consumer, we don't dispose our electronic waste जब तक वो बंद नहीं पड़ जाता, right? I mean, I remember मेरा जितने समय तक चल रहा है, that's the way it's working, Fridge जितने समय तक best use हो सकता है, we all do that, right? I mean, that's the way it is designed. So as a consumer and as a electronic company, I would say always it's a 5-year thing. But probably once we e-waste हो गया, वो खत्म हो गया है, तो फोन को dismantle करके उसको खत्म करने में तो hardly it will not even take 1 day. If it's a single phone, that's completely on a volume-based thing, how it works, किस तरीके से मतलब आप किस तरीके से उसको लेके चलना चाहते हो. So if it's a volume of probably tons of kgs, then we do it accordingly, right? I mean, it completely depends what the kind of material that we are getting.
And I think this new wave of consumerism where, companies launch new phones every year and then, oh, I need to get the new phone or I need to get a new car or I need to get, let's say, new electronics. That demand, oh, I need the latest gadget in my hand is also adding to the e-waste problem where I mean, you've rightly said, right? Like my parents, when they used to get their first electronics, it used to be, I'll just completely use it till the point where it doesn't work. And the first step is not, okay, I'll go buy a new electronic. It is, I'll call the guy to repair it, right? And I mean, for the environment, that's such a good process. Like, first of all, you're not just for the environment, for the economy also. There's someone who has the skill to repair and, reuse that thing. And worst case, they would donate it to someone else if it's repaired and then, then opt to buy a new thing.
Correct.
Like
So
I remember.
I was reading an article which said that only, Indians have always been recyclers. मतलब हमारे बुजुर्ग को अगर आप देखोगे तो सारे वही था. They used to, मतलब अगर मेरा भाई है तो उसके पास कपड़े जाएंगे, उसके पास वो चीज यूज होगी, जब तक वो लास्ट में चीज ही बोल दे बस अभी मेरा खत्म हो गया है टाइमलाइन, तुम बस करोगे ना, बस आई एम डन with you time.
Yeah.
But
And
now
we
it's
don't
not the case.
stop for a minute. Yeah, we don't even stop for a minute and we go like, "Arey, do I actually need this or not?" Right? Like,
That's not touching. And for our generation, still probably we think twice, But with the younger generation, it's just अगर iPhone 13 आया है तो अभी चाहिए, उसके बाद कोई नया version आ जाए तो अभी चाहिए. So that instant gratification is big time there in this youth. But at the same time, I mean, you can't change that so easily. Even with the scrappage policy, if I were to say, the vehicle scrappage policy which has come, that looks as if it's more to boost the sales side of it for automobile, because back end ही नहीं है अभी तक. I mean, if you were to see Indian roads, you will find वो two wheeler ऐसे ही कोने में पड़ा हुआ है. I've written so many mails most of the time कि भाई ये क्या है, मतलब इसको पहले खत्म तो करें हम पुरानी चीजों को. But I don't understand, जब तक वो single point of contact नहीं होता, how do you do it, because उसका procurement cost, उसका logistic cost कि उसको कहीं लेके जाओ two wheeler को और फिर उसको खत्म करो, वो मशीनरी अब तक इंडिया में सेटअप नहीं है. So it's more to boost sales at times, all these electronics which are going in the market, they will work only for a certain period of time. उसके बाद नया version आ जाता है, you have to buy the new version, otherwise how will they keep up with the sale?
yeah.
Correct.
So I'm I mean, I would like to say that I'm a climate conscious citizen, but and I find that there are electronics lying at home. So what is my next step? When do I actually stand up and say, okay, I need this to be recycled, or can I say, oh, you know what, I can reuse it or I can repair it? when am I actually supposed to be like, okay, you know what, it's run its course, let me give it away for recycling before it ends up in a landfill and harms the environment?
So for me, there is always a filter which I use. जो चीज drawer में एक साल से ज़्यादा पड़ी है ना, जो मैंने कभी देखी भी नहीं है, if I've not used that, it means I'm never ever going to see that again. You know, that's most of the households. I think that's true. We just keep keeping things, and Mumbai में तो still we don't keep such longer period के लिए because there's always a space constraint. But if I were
Correct.
to go to other cities in outside Mumbai, you'll find people basement में इतना सारा सामान रख के रखे हैं. Historical e-waste you'll find. पुराना typewriter, पुराना कहीं कुछ मिलेगा, कहीं stereo मिलेगा. I mean, I have seen that with my in-laws. I mean, we have a basement in Udaipur, and
Yeah.
everything you'll find there in the basement. So in Mumbai, that's always a problem because space रहता ही नहीं हमारे पास. So I always say when you're decluttering, when you're clearing your space, जिसको OCD, जैसे I have a little bit of OCD, I feel थोड़ा clean होना चाहिए सारी चीजें. So that's where I, on a regular basis, if something is of no use, like I know DSLR नहीं काम आने वाला, I know cables काम नहीं आने वाले, I know कि BlackBerry अभी कभी use नहीं आने वाला. So that is where I realized कि let me keep it separately. And e-waste like plastic is never a problem because you can store it for a longer period of time. आपका कोई except for space you're not being परेशान नहीं हो रहे कोई चीज से. Store it at a place. Have a society mechanism. I always feel that it's a good way of starting. If you're a chairperson or if you're a secretary, we've approached a lot of societies where we say that please have this mechanism in your society. Have a
Correct.
e-waste kiosk. Have a center where you are depositing your e-waste. Let people have that service. And then you give us a call. We are ready to tie a memorandum. We pay you for that. Rupees 10 per kg तो हम upfront बोल रहे हैं. So if it is
Yeah.
more, 500 kgs, we are ready to give you more as well. Maybe 12 rupees a kg. And then we come and pick it up. We are recycling. We are giving you that certificate also, which you can claim for your property tax rebate.
Hmm.
So these are few initiatives which can be taken. So on an individual basis, that calling should come. You know, मैं क्या करूँ इसका और कर रहा हूँ तो कहाँ जाऊँ? So this is the thing which.
I'm also a little curious about, you've spoken a lot on the individual side, but what are large organizations, corporates, even the government? I'm guessing the government is possibly one of the largest creators of e-waste because they've got so many offices, so many things to be managed. You know, they need to have this robust system where they're clearing off whatever's there, and they have a moral responsibility to assure that to those citizens as well. But how do you all deal with large corporations, maybe the MNCs, and the government as such? How do they dispose their e-waste currently?
Yeah, so if I were to see about corporates, that's the way major chunk of e-waste is there. And corporates, like since CSR has come into play, I had just posted a recent article on LinkedIn which said that CSR is typically into three major areas, which is education, health, and rural sector. So
Hmm.
that's where a major question came up, like why are organizations not really contributing towards a thing like environment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these are few things that we are also trying to fix, reaching out to corporates. And yes, we have a corporate base definitely, where we actually help corporates dispose their e-waste and also other waste at their plants and their systems. And then there, obviously, this is crores of assets which they have. So it's
Yeah.
more on a quotation base which goes, So there is a lot of money, if I were to say, involved in this kind of thing. So yes, but there are people, there are recyclers who are doing their bit, reaching out. But a lot of you have to be ethical and transparent in this. There are a lot of people who are actually take up और फिर कहाँ फेंक रहे हो आपको पता नहीं. So to have that
Correct.
complete corporate need to understand what kind of person are you associating with, what is happening to their entire e-waste. Is it really coming to an end? Is the person you're dealing with really ethical and transparency being shown? So as I told you, government has come out with a lot of initiatives as well, like EPRs are there. Like if I were to say, SEBI has come out with ESG compliance, which is environment social governance. So apart from your financial reporting, you also need to have your ESG reporting done now. So in ESG, again, waste management is an important parameter under environment. So that is where we are trying to reach out to more corporates. And of course, that's building gradually, because that takes some time. But yes, that's where we reach out to a lot of corporates corporates and help them dispose their e-waste and other waste in the best possible manner, and also providing them with their reporting facilities so that they can report in their entire sustainability report, financial reporting, and any data will grant more sanctity to your
Sure.
organization. So this is
And
where, yes, even corporates are doing a lot in this case, but kahin na kahin wo monetary terms pe aake ruk jata hai, there are a lot of things which can be done in a better way. So, but yeah,
right.
that's the way. Yes.
Do they get carbon credits for actually giving you e-waste and
Yeah.
recycling it, getting it back?
Correct. Correct. So carbon credits are something which has come, but it's more like a concept currently. Universally,
Okay.
abhi applicable hua nahi hai, in, at least in India. I mean, if you
Yeah.
were to see outside, yes, it is happening, but यहाँ पे
Oh,
अभी उतना developed stage पे नहीं है. So we
hmm.
can tell you that when you have probably recycled 1,000 tons of e-waste, it will equate to these many carbon credits that you have saved, or carbon
Okay.
emissions that you have saved. So this equation can be definitely given, but as a corporate, how can you use it? It's not very clearly stated in Indian terms as of now. But
Okay.
gradually, this happening. As India has said, 2070, that's a long thing, net zero. But बहुत लंबा है. But gradually, these things have to come. Otherwise, आप किस तरीके से control रखोगे?
Yeah.
So.
Are corporates usually open to the fact, like when you approach them, hey, we're here to recycle your e-waste? Are they open to something like this, or they're like, hey, we don't have this problem, nothing like this exists here?
Some, most of them are open, of course, because they have been doing that, and they have their own team also in place. Like if I were to say EHS, the department which every corporate has now, which maintains a quality check and environment check. So they are knowing, and they would have been doing it also since long. But वो थोड़ा informal sector से भी होता है काफी कुछ, because obviously you earn more money out of your asset at that point of time. So that's there, but yes, they are. They know everything. I mean, I think corporates are taking part into this and big time doing it also. And there are few
Okay.
who are not aware about anything. So
Okay.
gradually, they would be coming under this gamut. So it's more about, if you how can you help? What can you do? Having those initial talks, and then probably offering what we could do. Maybe.
Great.
And I think this goes back to the point that you mentioned earlier about behavioral change, right? I mean, at the end of the day, corporates, even though they're big organizations, they're still run by people. And it's important that the people at the top management position should understand their contribution towards the environment. What, how do you put, I mean, as an organization, maybe you can't put profits before the environment. A lot of them may not be able to do that at this point, but at least can you put it at the same pedestal, right? Hey,
Correct.
we are responsible to make money, but then at the same time we have to do it ethically. How do we still contribute to the environment to do it in that manner? And that requires a behavioral change for them to say, okay, no, we can't just exploit communities or natural resources to just make blind profits. That is a systemic change that I think it has to come as individuals, where we say, hey, you know what, we need to draw a line somewhere. And also another point that you mentioned, where over time we begin to realize that, oh shit, you know what, my environment is damaged, and now what do I do? We need to reverse that entire process, which is probably why elders realize that, saying, I remember when this was lush green and there was a garden and there were forests around and I could go, and now it's the smoke and tar roads and pavements and concrete. So that change takes, before it hits you, but it takes a long period of time. And maybe that's why the middle age group doesn't even care about, acha, okay, you know what, I'm just going to go. Suddenly when they pause and think, and they go like, oh my god, the landscapes change, the environment's changed, my old place where I could sit in a park is gone anymore. I think that's the stark reality that we are facing. So yeah, I think that requires a
Yes.
bigger
This main line runs that way only, like on our website also, that we do not inherit this earth from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children.
exactly. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so when you have that feeling कि भाई वो किसी से लिया हुआ है और वो भी हमारे बच्चों के लिए, probably you will not really, what do I say, you will not misuse the resources that we have had.
Yeah.
So with the corporate side, we also help with a lot of corporate drives. So there
Okay.
are companies which approach, and we also say that आपके employees के लिए एक avenue रखो ना, that there are some 1,000+ employees in your company. Why don't they get a chance to, you keep a drive in your office, and then we are there to support you. We'll be there with a logistic team, and you just have to collect from the employees. So even the employees get a chance to dispose away their e-waste.
What are the next steps for Threco? Like, what's the future? Like, what all are you guys getting into?
For Threco and for e-waste, let both of them.
Okay, thank you for asking this question. So currently we've spoken about e-waste quite much. कि e-waste सबको पता चल गया अभी तक, what e-waste is. But one thing which is a problem which we see is solar recycling. We are all saying that we don't need to use fossil fuels and move towards a more renewable form of energy like solar energy. But again, if I were to say, backend is missing, because आपने solar दिए, उसके बाद में after 20 years or after 15 years there will be a replacement, or there would be a cost which would be needed to dismantle, to finish that off, right? Because again, that's a complicated thing. You have your metals, you have your glass, you have your panels, you have your modules in that. How do you dispose that? But unless it makes economic sense, again, recycling is a pain. But similarly, you will find everything put up everywhere, because हर जगह हमने solar panels तो लगा दिए हैं, मगर जब वो खत्म होगा तो कहाँ जाएगा वो? So that's a big challenge again. Next is, again, as I told you, EV तो सभी करे जा रहे हैं, but batteries का क्या? Where, I mean, I was shocked when I heard from this somebody saying कि it is going to be like next plastic if we don't have a backend. Which is probable. जैसे हमको प्लास्टिक रोड पे दिखती है, होगी बैटरीज मिलने लग जाएगी हाँ, because how if it's not in a working stage, nobody cares, कहीं पर भी पड़ा होगा वो. So that's somewhere where we are learning, and we are also understanding what's the best procedure that we can develop towards these areas, because these are challenges in the waste management industry, if I were to say. So yes, this is the path forward for Threco, obviously growing and reaching out to people towards electronic waste, of course, that now we are there. This was my age personally. How do I give away my e-waste? Just give a call to us. We'll try what we can do best, and we'll help you dispose that e-waste in the best possible manner. And at times I always ask this question when I am going to buy a phone. तभी मैं कभी नहीं पूछती that what am I going to get back for that phone when I'm buying the phone. Then why at the time proposal that does that 200 and 300 rupees matter? I think it's just a mental block which is there, at times, क्योंकि हमने हमेशा पैसा receive किया है for disposing e-waste, जो कि हमारे काम नहीं आने वाला. E-waste तो क्या, even newspaper. I mean, how अगर वो इकट्ठा हो जाता है पाइल भर के, हमारे को गंदा लगने लगता है, right? घर में that इतना इकट्ठा, but still we want money for that. I mean, निकालना है, मगर वो service जैसे हम देख ही नहीं रहे उसको. But that will take time, because I understand the entire demographic of India is very different, very, very different. People are actually struggling for their survival.
So, Garima, what's a message that you possibly have to, the viewers and listeners who've possibly got a lot of e-waste lying in different corners of their home, and also, with their future buying that they might have with all their electronics? What's the message that you would possibly like to give to them?
Thank you, Sajid and Venkat, for asking this question, because I actually keep thinking किस तरीके से लोगों तक पहुंचना है, because question है, but yes, at this point of time I would like to give this message that अगर e-waste है, find the trail, and just we are there now as a service where we can come at your doorstep, collect the e-waste, recycle it, probably be thankful to you, that you are really a aware customer. You're not just on the using side of it, but also thinking about the disposal side. One thing which I really want to make a point at this point of time, students and children are a very important medium, so what you're doing now will stay with them forever. So if I doing something right now, they are seeing you doing that, and they will question the same and probably adopt the same. So this is where I always tell that if possible, make a children's army in your society which are doing the right things. This will really, this instant gratification which is happening currently will take a different turn, because children are understanding that everything what you are receiving is not something which it's instantly available to you, but there is somebody who needs that as well. So why not,
Yeah.
do some smaller things in the society level itself, where children start thinking and they become entrepreneurs for themselves, because they are solving a real life problem and not something on the video game, and not something ki bhai, I mean, what I feel at times, children are solving some problems which are not there.
Yeah.
आप create कर रहे हो और solve कर रहे हो. Instead of that, when you are having a real life problem, come together as a community, as children society, and do something. You will realize what the pain points are, and you will grow as an entrepreneur at that point. So these are the small message that as parents build children who are stronger, who think, and start doing something, questioning things. What is it I'm using, but where is it going? So these are few things.
I think both those points, I mean, two very, very big points put, you've articulated in a really nice manner as a message to parents also. Something that Sajid and I have seen, and, even when we create our games or our products, the first thing that we say is that, yeah, there might be companies that are solving, let's say, environmental crises now, but who's actually looking at the next generation or the generation after that to say this problem doesn't arise, let's say, 60 years down the line, right? How are we going to continue to act responsibly as a community, as a society at large? And children are at the core of that. They are seeing what we are doing today, they're seeing the issues that we raise, that we are willing to attend to, and the things that we are setting aside and saying, ha, that's not important. And for a long time the environment has been like that. Ha, okay, you throw garbage anywhere you want, just let things remain as there is. Pollute our environment, drive your cars, live in urban environments, not segregate waste, which is a big issue that is there in every household. And kids are seeing that, and they're learning without us even knowing. They're picking these things up. And the second thing is about this micro community drive that we've got, right? We are thinking, okay, how can we save the planet, without actually thinking. Like, I like the idea about, just start with your society, just start with even a block in your society to say, I will set up this kiosk here. Anyone who's got, your old radios or your Walkmans, your CD players, things that we are not using anymore, with the old mobile phones, the old Nokia phones, come give those at least. Things that or you feel I can dispose of, right? And that's a great place to start, and be like, okay, let me use that and just give certificates to kids. For them, that is more valuable than maybe 100 rupees or 1,000 rupees that you will get. And they'll be so happy, and they'll put it up on their wall and be like, hey, I'm an e-cycler, or I'm a recycler. And those badges go a long way. And we've seen kids that come up to us maybe 6 or 8 months later after they've played a game and be like, Arey, I won that waste segregation game that you had, which you got. And for them, that has more value than anything else that we would look at from an economic perspective. So yeah, I think
Correct.
both points are very, very important.
Thank you so much. One more thing which I would like to mention at this point, a lot of colleges and institutions have come on board, and that's probably because of the NAC guidelines as well. Like, so when you were asking about the government, so government has also taken a lot of steps with the educational institutions. They've actually adopted these NAC guidelines where there are clauses towards e-waste management. So a lot
Yeah.
of principals have approached us, that please can you help us? So that's where we also reach out to a lot of principals, and they take it in their curriculum as well, recycling as a concept. And children come and give their old electronic waste, where we help with the collection. Also, in turn, paying the basic standard rate that we pay to people. That's used for the college, and then you get the certification as well. So this is one again a different stream where we are trying to reach to B2C, largely towards people help their dispose their e-waste big time.
Glad you brought that point up. Actually, one of the questions I wanted to ask when you said, young people, is how do you get educated about, whether it's e-waste or other waste segregation or recycling? Are there professional courses that do that? Are there colleges that focus on, any sort of, is there engineering, science courses? Are there, social learning courses, sociology courses? What are the different things that you can do, let's say, to have a professional, because this is going to be a problem that's there, that will need the right kind of qualified or skilled people to even first of all picture that there is going to be a problem, let's say, in the next 10 years, and then actually come up with scientific solutions for it.
Correct. So, two things in this I would like to say. We had an intern who was doing engineering, and she
Mm.
actually that why isn't recycling mentioned anywhere in the entire engineering course, which is very funny,
Agree.
right? You're building
Yeah.
machines, but you're not teaching कि उसके बाद क्या. So
Yeah.
so that's the way our curriculum is designed. Probably it will change because अभी तक वो problem नजर नहीं आ रही थी. अभी problem है तो हमने सिर्फ 3 R पढ़े हैं, but वो होता कैसे है वो थोड़ा in depth जाके, because it has huge employment opportunities which I can see. So when
Exactly.
with a high unemployment level, I think this is a good sector to be in, because waste तो आज है कल नहीं है ऐसा नहीं होने वाला है, हमेशा रहने वाला है. So obviously it's a big employment opportunity which I can see, and if it's channelized in the right way, because digitization is big time missing again in this whole
Yeah.
sector. We don't have data at all, which is very
Yeah.
surprising. तब हमारे पास
Yeah.
कुछ, because सब कुछ तो informally हो रहा है. So
Correct.
that's a big. So there's a lot of employment opportunities in this. Secondly, even a lot of environmental courses have come up, but uske andar we are not showing what is. See, as an engineer, when you become an engineer, when you become a doctor, everything is very lucrative. Today, the entire VC section is very lucrative. PEs are very lucrative. But you have to show the other side of thing कि जब आप कुछ build कर रहे हो तो वो कितना grow हो रहा है. So nobody is portraying that. Even a farmer, agriculture is a big space to be in, but उसको इतना low profile कर दिया that no, as a child nobody wants to enter into the agriculture field unless you have a background. Similar is the waste industry, which I feel, because the profiling that you're doing is very low again. So
Sure.
that profile needs to be in a manner that, bhai, this is a problem which we are solving, this is a service that we are providing, and at the end of it we need it. मान लो आज पूरा कूड़े का ढेर है तो हमको अच्छा नहीं लगता. Somebody has to solve that, and we are all contributors, so why not think about solving it? So that's where I feel a lot of courses will come up definitely. Currently वो low profile रख के रखा है इसलिए इतना वो हो नहीं रहा. But a lot of foreign investors and investments are also happening, which I see, in the long run happening in this sector. Let's see how, So I always say that even I am learning. I am not the right person to give you all the answers, but just effort maybe, in the direction that maybe if I could give my thought, that's the only thing which I could say at this point of time.
Hopefully in the next 10 years we'll get the first batch of recycling engineers engineering college from India.
Hopefully, yes.
Great. Garima, we appreciate you sharing all these valuable insights. So something we do at the end of all our podcasts is a rapid fire round, and we'll ask you some of the questions. Whatever comes into your mind, you have to shoot it out as an answer.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So first question. So what's the one thing at home that you can't throw away at all, that is just lying there?
My musical instrument.
Oh, okay. Which one is it?
It's guitar.
Oh, okay.
Guitar.
Electric guitar or just an
Not
acoustic?
normal guitar.
Because if it's the electric guitar, you would have recycled it.
No, she recycled and now it's the acoustic.
Oh, okay. Okay, so next question. Would you throw away, or in this case, recycle 100 new cell phones, or would you rather eat your least favorite food for an entire month?
No, I would rather collect 100 phones and recycle.
Oh. Yeah, I'm guessing that would have been the answer anyway. Because some of the other questions that we've asked, let's say other upcyclers or recyclers is, would you rather throw away 100 diapers or recycle 100 used diapers versus eat your least favorite food? So sometimes, but I'm guessing there isn't too much over here as a choice for you. So
Yeah, and diapers doesn't make economic sense. So as I'm telling you, because diapers is something you'll not see recycle हो ही नहीं सकते वो. It's very difficult industry to be in. Very difficult industry.
Okay. Next, would you rather go on a dinner date with your favorite celeb, or would you rather have them give you a shout out on Instagram about the work you do?
Rather give a shout out on the work that I'm doing.
and
Dinner
who is your
यार कभी एक बार shout out दे दो.
Who's your favorite celeb?
So I am a big fan. I mean, if I were to say intellectually, it is Raghuram Rajan, somebody whom I really admire. And I am big fan of any music. Arjit Singh. I love
Right.
Arjit Singh. So music, it's all about music. So I met Shan once and I was thrilled about it. So yes, I'm Madhuri Dixit. Yes, Madhuri.
We'll okay. She has like 4 or 5 people. We'll tag all of them.
Oh, sure. Thank you so much.
And last, so would you rather get your apartment complex or your housing colony to donate all their old TVs or donate all their old mobile phones? Which one?
Donate all their both. Why not both?
No, you'd have to pick one of them. Which because we want to know according to you as an e-waste problem, which is probably going to be bigger.
TV. I think TVs. Yes, because I don't watch TVs. I mean, I've given up since 5 years.
Okay.
I think I watch TV once in a while. I'll watch a film maybe. So that's it. So I think TVs. Yes, old TVs.
Okay. And what's the one electronic item that you think no one needs and we should either stop buying or donate it?
Nobody needs. I can't think of one. I think something which is not working, anything, just give it off if it's not working. One item which
Calculators.
video game, video games.
Video games. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for this lovely conversation. It's been quite insightful, lot for us to learn, and I hope that everyone who's been listening and watching has got a very good idea now of how big the e-waste problem is, what to do with the e-waste that we generate on a daily basis, and the amazing work that Threco is doing. So thank you so much for spending time and giving us a small snippet of the work that you do. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Venkat and Sajid, and very grateful to you for giving me an opportunity to be on the platform. This is the first time I am on the podcast, so please, I am sorry if there has been any ups and downs, but yes, thank you for this opportunity. Thank you so much.